read out the question that was sent via the online form. The first question is, this is from my sister Tansy. She has two questions. The first question is, during sitting meditation, I tend to incline my mind towards looking at causes and conditions. In one sitting, a memory of a recent experience arises, which then triggers past perception, views, and opinion, which in turn condition thought to arise. As mindfulness was aware of the thought that was just about to arise, the thought ceases immediately. I do observe there is an intention to think before the thought arises. However, I also observe in daily activity as well, there is an intention before thought arises. Appreciate Longpo's guidance as to whether this is the right seeing style.
It all sounds very familiar. Yes, we become aware of certain issues that are in our life as we meditate. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I recommend not to try and solve your problems or contemplate these things, certainly not in the first part of your meditation. Your aim is just to practice letting go and stick with the breath as much as possible. And as you're doing that, you will of course be aware of thoughts arising, or even the intention wanting to think, what do I think about next, what next, kind of thing. So keep being aware of that, observing that, but come back to the breath, keep dropping it. That may be your first goal in the meditation. But that doesn't mean to say you can never contemplate other aspects of your life. So say if memory of issues come up, when you're more settled, when your mindfulness is more established, say you've been meditating for a while now, if you meditate for half an hour or an hour, there may be a period of time where you feel more settled. Well, if some issue has been bothering you, maybe bring it up then and see with your more calm state of mind whether you can get any understanding from it. You may find that possible. Or you may find that the whole issue has faded from your, it no longer seems important because you're now more mindful. You realize it was just a construction of a lot of thoughts and memories, and it really, you don't need to think about it anymore. That may be one result. But if it's something that's persistent, that keeps bothering you, well, as you become more mindful, when you feel steady enough, calm enough, confident enough, well, lift that up for some contemplation. See if you can understand that memory or that issue that's been bothering you from a different perspective. Because as you establish mindfulness, it gives you a sense of space from your memories, your thoughts. There's not that compulsive, like you say, I've got to think, and the intention to think is always coming up. Now there's a sense of spaciousness, almost like I could think, or I don't need to think, I just stay with the breath. As you develop more samadhi, you become aware of that spaciousness and the peace of mind. So then if you lift something up to contemplate it, you're not doing it in a compulsive way. It's just considering an issue that may have particular importance in your life, and you look at it to see, what can I learn from this? The way I'm looking at it, is it causing me suffering? Something that's making me angry or worried or bringing up a lot of desire and attachment? Can I see through it, beyond it, apply the three characteristics? It's impermanent, it's suffering, it's not self. Now that you're more calm, can you apply this? And you contemplate, break it down, analyze it, break it down. You can do that when your mind is more calm. But if your mind is not calm yet, just stick with, like you were describing, just observe the intention to a thought arise, a memory arise, but then just let it go. And improve your level of mindfulness, the ability to pay attention to the breath and stick with that. Because you'll find in the long run, your wisdom will improve, your understanding will improve if your mindfulness and your effort to bring up mindfulness is stronger.
Sadhu Namo. A follow-up question is, I find it so suffering indeed seeing perception arising each time the mind comes in contact with the sense experience of the sense forms. As these perceptions are more often than never rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion, so have to practice guarding the sense doors. That is in the seeing, there is the seeing, and in the hearing, there is the hearing. But it's difficult to be ever so mindful. It's like 1 in 100 times that I can prevent the perception from arising, and 99 times the suffering seeing the perception arising, which in turn condition thoughts and feelings to arise. I am working on fine-tuning my right view of things as they really are outlined of four Brahma Viharas. Appreciate Long Paul's guidance if I am on the right.
Well, you sound correct. We do have to practice guarding our sense doors. Like, why do they use the term guard? Well, that implies there must be some risk or some danger. You need a guard. Just like, you go some places and they have a security guard on the door to consider who's coming in, who are they, what's their business, are they here for up to no good, or are they genuine person coming into this building or whatever. So the practice of mindfulness, clear comprehension, one of its roles is to guard us, protect us. And of course, if your mindfulness is not well developed, you can't just practice seeing as seeing, hearing as hearing yet, but you can guard your ears, guard your eyes as you go through your day. And this is something Ajahn Chah encouraged practitioners all the time as a pillar, a foundation of our practice. So guarding the sense doors means, well, you're aware that things stimulate greed, things stimulate anger, things stimulate delusion and fear. So you're guarding not to indulge your senses too much. You're careful. You not only are you mindful, but you're also reflecting. What am I doing here? What am I engaged with here? So, like, say, if you're prey to a lot of lust, then don't keep looking at people and pictures and images that bring up lust. So Ajahn Chah was always used to harangue the monks, and you don't keep dwelling on looking at pretty young women or something. So you practice guarding your sense door. You literally move your eyes away from the thing that is stimulating the mental defilement of lust or greed. Or it could be, say you have a weakness for jewelry. Every time you walk down the street and there's a jeweler's there, or you go into a shopping mall and there's a jewelry shop, and if you just walk past, you're going to stand there looking and looking and looking, then you fantasize and you go home and it's still sticking in your mind and you dream about it and you think about it. Then you understand why you have to guard against that. So you may be aware that there is nice jewelry in the world, but you don't go and spend hours looking at it. You look and then you turn away. So you're guarding your sense doors because your mindfulness is not yet strong. You have to guard over how much sense contact you have. So, like we know, going shopping is addictive. We get addicted, and even in lockdown, you get addicted to online shopping. Well, guard your sense doors. Have some rules of discipline, your own personal rules. How much time are you going to spend online? When you have to shop, how much time will you give it? What things do you need before you've even turned the computer on? Think it through, make a plan, have a strategy, and then put that strategy into practice when you're online, and be aware of how your mind, when you're unguarded, will start to look at things it likes, things it wants, and get lost in that, surfing the net or surfing the shopping websites and so on. So whether it's in person in a shopping mall or online, sense restraint applies all the time. Excuse me. Same applies to things that bring up aversion. A lot of people have complained about this last year how the news stirs up either anxiety or downright anger, and looking at all this negative news all the time. So sense restraint there may be, determining how much news you're going to look at or listen to, limiting it to the essentials so that you're not stimulating your mind in a negative way too much. And on it goes, every aspect of our life, our senses are being engaged. So we have to learn to be mindful and then reflect what's an appropriate amount, what's a way to guard the mind from falling into greed, anger, and delusion. Of course, when the practice progresses, then maybe it's more automatic and you're mindful because you've been practicing it a lot. So then as soon as indulgence leading on to greed, anger, or delusion is taking place, you're already aware of that and your mind pulls back. So sense restraint becomes internalized maybe. But in the beginning we also need external rules and practices to help us to limit our mind and what we're letting it do, what we let it dwell on. So that's why also the Buddha encouraged a bit of seclusion. So even in the lay life, we should have times where we put our phone down. We have times where we stay at home quietly doing our practice. We're not going out socializing too much. Doesn't mean to say never, but you put limits on your behavior. When you go to work, you have discipline to focus on your work, do a certain amount, but not do things that get you too stressed, too angry, or whatever. You have to think things through based on your experience, and then you make up rules and practices for yourself. For the younger fans who are watching, maybe they also have to do this with things like, you come home. I was talking to someone today, a family today. You come home from school, you've got a choice. You've got homework and you've got games. How are you going to manage your time? That's part of sense restraint. Do you just turn the computer on and go straight to the games? And then you're stuck on that for the next 2 hours or something because you indulge it. Even as a child, you have to make some wise decisions, and maybe the adults have to help. You say, no, I'll do my homework. Then when I've finished my work, I've got a bit of time to relax, then I'll play my games for a while. That's sense restraint as well. It's a mixture of wisdom and mindfulness working together, and it's not just in the present moment, but you also have to sometimes make strategies and plans to protect yourself. So it's the guard. You have this guard, the guardian of the mind working to help you all the time.
So I'd like to invite anyone else who've got further questions or follow-up questions. Yes, Jesslyn.
Greeting from Longpo. Thank you, Longpo. Thank you, Dr. Longpo, for your kindness and compassion to teach us the Dhamma, and also for us to ask you questions directly. Thank you, Longpo. Longpo, I have a question. I actually have many questions, but Longpo, I have read No Ajahn Chah's book, Reflection, for many years, and I I only realized that when I said I do not know how to meditate, I think I have problem with anapanasati meditation, which I cannot keep awake. Most of the time, I will fall asleep. But because I read reflection, it says that the only book worth reading is a heart. I read many of it, and every time I have problem, I will always go back to the book for answers. Like I have difficulties, I'm angry or whatsoever, I will always go back to the book, and there will always be answers in the book or guidance in the book to guide me out of my suffering. So, Longpo, is that uh, Dhammansati that I'm practicing? Or I'm not very sure because I always have this problem with when it comes to meditation. So there is that recently also I realized is that there is that I conceit that during the period that I cannot do meditation, but prior to this, all this while, when I have problem, I always go back to no reflection in another room, how to overcome your difficulties for answers, and each time there will be answers there. One example will be somebody blamed me, and I got very upset when I pick up the book and turn the pages, and the answer is just there. The Buddha says that there's no one that is not blamed in this world. Then I look at myself, because we also know that some people blame the Buddha. So if the Buddha says that, then it is normal that people will blame us for anything. And for purification of mind, I think last week Long Paul was talking about purification of mind. When I read about purification of mind and I didn't know how, and again I bring out uh, Ajanka's book, Reflection. He says that where does rain come from? Rain come from all the dirty waters that evaporate into the sky and falls down. So it's like we should also do the same for our mind. And then I realized is that sometimes we have angry thoughts or very unmindful thoughts. So that's how we should cleanse the mind, but not through sitting through sitting meditation, but it's always through Dhamma books that I get my answers, especially to all the difficulties that I have. Long Paul, can Long Paul tell me why am I practicing? Thank you, Long Paul. Sadhu Long Paul.
I think you're the same as me. I've spent a lot of time reading Ajahn Chah's talks, and I always get something fresh out of them. And that's the depth of his wisdom, the purity of his mind. It just pervades his talk, so you can always return to his books and learn something new. But like he says, the best book to read is your heart. So what your aim is to use the Dhamma we get from books, from discussions like this. These are important factors in our practice, but then we have to take away what we've heard, what we've read, and really try to bring it into our heart, internalize it and see for ourselves. And that's hard, but that's what the practice is about. So don't give up on the meditation, even if you're experiencing a lot of sleepiness. But it sounds like you're somebody who finds the most stimulating thing is to listen to Dhamma or read Dhamma. So you have to maybe spend part of your meditation practice in wise reflection or contemplating Dhamma. So just for example, you mentioned, somebody criticizes you or blames you and then you feel the suffering of that. Well, reflect on that. You don't have to be necessarily sitting with your eyes closed meditating. You can reflect any time during your day, but you reflect. That person formerly criticized me, blamed me, I got angry. Okay, that happened. But am I angry now? No, I feel fine now. At this very moment, you don't feel angry, I hope, unless I'm talking too much or something. Hopefully you're not feeling angry at this moment. So where's that anger gone? It's clearly an impermanent mental state. It was a feeling that arose with some negative thoughts in response to being blamed. That experience arose, it passed away. Currently, it's gone. You may be able to remember it and revive the feeling of anger, of course, but currently you're not experiencing. So when you sit down and reflect like that, you realize it's impermanent. So next time you're in a similar situation, if you're starting to suffer because someone has blamed you, just sit down and try and bring up the Dhamma again and say, this has happened before. It arose, it passed away before, I suffered and then it finished, it ended. It will be the same this time. If you keep focusing on the impermanent changing nature of your moods, your reactions to different experience, you'll get better at that. You'll get to notice how everything passes away, everything ends. then maybe before you've even got angry, you just know, this is going to end just like last time, and you don't pick up that angry mood and the angry train of thought. You know the experience, they blame you, but then you just let it go. Oh, it's just like that. And then you have that reflection, like the Buddha said, everybody experiences praise and blame in their life. It's normal. So maybe you can even avoid getting angry, totally avoid it. Just know, praise and blame, it's normal. There is this experience, then it passes, and you just drop it quickly. So your aim is to bring what you've read into your mind, into your heart, compare it, learn from it, and see if you can experience it for yourself. And that's the aim of what the Buddha, what Luang Por Chah taught.
Sadhu Lumpur. That's not invite Benri.
Again, thank you very much for all the insights. Firstly, I want to thank you for I've been following your talks and your Facebook post, and I've been away from my country, New Zealand, for a month, going to Australia, and suddenly know that you can't go to monasteries anymore. I feel completely out of place. So listening to you almost a few nights a week is a great comfort because I follow Theravada or Thai Forest Buddhism. So I find it very insightful, and the fact that you are so willing to teach us. Now, so last night when you talk about a method to immediately calm your mind is when your mind is occupied with many different thoughts. You want this and you want that, and you keep comparing yourself with others or comparing yourself with you in the past or the future. I find that it's a great insight because immediately I sort of wake up and in my bed trying to write it down. But another thing that I was able to apply is you say when your mind is occupied with so many things at the same time, a good way is to imagine that you're sitting on top of a mountain, if I remember correctly, and there's nothing around, so nothing bothers you and nothing sort of matters anymore. Um, and today I have had a very long busy day with kids, and then in the afternoon I feel like I need to do meditation, um, and so I just went out to the playground with them, and I just sit down in a sort of in a sitting area, when people stay around, and I think that's a very good way to challenge you if whether you can practice meditation. I guess mindfulness being the most impossible point and place. And of course you have children running around and including the kids, and naturally you are always attuned to the kids' voice. And again, I apply what you said last night about imagine you're on top of a mountain. It from personally to me it does two things. Firstly, um, normally from a Dhamma point is you look a way to become detached to things is getting this helicopter view of things below you and nothing to do with you. So you are passive observer. On the other hand, because things are far away from you, you can't touch it, you can't control it. So it's like it does the measure immediately silence things around me. Now my question here is, at the same time, I find this what it does is silence. So almost I feel like I don't hear things anymore because I have that attention to my breath. But then I thought the other hand, the other side of meditation is you become even more alert and aware of things around you, but become detached to it. So is there a sweet form or balance between just focusing on your breath, but at the same time completely aware and very alert or sensitive to things around you? Or actually it's better to just be able to block everything and just focus on your breath? That's my question.
Yeah, it's a good point, and everybody, I think, has to consider this. In the Buddhist teachings, we say there's a time and place for everything. So like, say, a session like this where we come together, you don't have any other activities to do. You can focus fully on the Dhamma. If we're doing meditation, you can just focus on your breath and you can really let go of everything. And it's important to find times in your life to do that. But at the same time, we can't ignore the fact we have many other duties and responsibilities. So we may have a family, kids, we have jobs, we have other things we have to do. So you have to learn what is appropriate at each time. So if you're at work, you may not be able to sit and watch your breath, although you may have a few moments, small periods of time during your day, you can watch the breath just to calm yourself and bring up mindfulness. But maybe at work, there's many other things you have to do. You have to talk, you have to do activities. So they become the focus of your practice, doing your job well, trying to keep the 5 precepts as you do your job, interacting with other people patiently, with compassion, and so on. And then when there's a time available, then may spend some time just quietly watching your breath. But life is like this. We have to balance between our meditation, our formal sitting meditation, say, and then other duties. And it's not always going to be perfect, is it? You say, especially if you've got kids, you just start doing your meditation, there's nothing else to do, and then you hear the kids screaming or something, and you've got to stop and go and sort them out. You just have to accept that. That's the karma of being a human being. If you're married with a family, that's the karma of having a family. If you need to earn a living, get a job, which involves all kinds of activities, it's the karma of that job. We have to accept that. Maybe you make your long-term goal then. You say, oh, my job is so busy, I get no time to do my breath meditation. And you say, well, in the future, I want to do more retreats. Maybe I'll become a monk or a nun even. You make your long-term goal. I used to do that when I started practicing meditation. I had the thought to be a monk, but I wasn't a monk yet. So I would be at home and I'd just start my meditation, and then somebody would come round and want to talk to me, or this happened or that happened, and I got really frustrated. But I realized the frustration, the stress about that kind of thing, it doesn't help anything. So you learn to deal with things appropriately at each time. So when you make time for your meditation, but when there's no time for it, you can do your work, or you help other people, or you do other things with other people, and you have to accept that. So that's part of the practice, being aware and alert to time, place, when is the right time to meditate, when is the time you have to help other people, when is the time you do your job. But it doesn't mean to say when you're doing these other things you're not meditating, it's just you're changing the object and the way you meditate.
It looks like there are no more questions from the floor, Longpo.
No more?
No more questions from the floor.
Okay, very good. So I've been very happy to talk to you all tonight. I wish you all the best with your Dhamma practice. Don't give up. Don't get too distracted by the world and all the world's problems, because they'll be there long after we've all died and passed away. The world's problems will still be going on. So don't get too caught up in them. Just keep up with your Dhamma practice. It's the most important thing of all. And we'll meet again next time.